Hey everyone. So today we're going to cover the Patient Encounter 1 practical rubric. Okay. I think it's really, really important that after watching the videos, hopefully they were helpful on the complete patient history. Now we can look at what am I expected to do on the day of the practical. So let's look at this rubric and kind of walk through it, see the different point values, and just give you some tips and tricks along the way. All right. So first off, the practical can be very daunting. Okay. It's your first kind of scenario where you're having to kind of put yourself on the spot to speak in front of your instructor, in front of a simulated patient. So it can be a little bit scary. My advice for you is to practice as much as you can with as many different patients as possible. That means over Thanksgiving break, after you're done eating your turkey or whatever you do, grab your sister, grab your sibling, grab your mom, and just have her or him go through the scenarios right with you to be your patient. If you need help, maybe they don't know how to be a good patient, give them a script that you ask ChatGPT to come up with. But just get as much practice in as possible. My other recommendation is if you've chosen to do your practical, or if you've elected for the practical to be done, or your instructor has, for it to be done in a virtual setting over Zoom, I would practice on Zoom as well, because it's different when you are sitting in front of the patient than it is sitting in front of your computer. Okay. That being said, you should be able to feel comfortable talking to someone face to face. Okay, because that's most of your patients are going to be face to face. However, I do a lot of telemed, so I do. There's some little quirks to get used to when you do telemedicine as well. Anyways, let's look at the rubric. Okay, the practical, you are given 20 minutes to do the entire practical examination from start to finish before you enter the patient's room. Okay, you're going to be given 1 minute to write as any notes that you want on your cheat sheet. Okay, so you have a blank piece of paper. Your instructor will tell you, okay, go ahead and start. They'll start a 1 minute timer, and you will write as much as you can on there to help you remember what to ask. And I'm going to try to do a quick video, or at least show you a copy of the template of something that I would suggest to do as your little skeleton cheat sheet, I guess, scratch paper to take with you to your practical. Okay, you do have to write it then and there, though. You can't have it prepped and come. But I'll try to show you what I mean by that. I'll see if I can come up with something and then show y'all. After you get that 1 minute, time will go off. Your instructor will probably prep you saying you have 20 minutes to complete this practical examination. They'll probably give you a choice, a blind choice to pick which chief complaint you get, right? And what the name of your patient is and their age. So most of the time they'll be given that. And then from there, you'll be ready to go. Okay. So as far as the introduction, this is worth 5 points. You're going to knock on the door and you're going to introduce yourself, or say, whether in person or if you're not face to face, if you're on Zoom, you can introduce yourself and welcome them. With your introduction, you need to introduce yourself as a PA student, and you need to verbalize that you are washing your hands. Okay. You're going to gain their consent. I would get in the habit of asking to check their name and date of birth, because on all of your OSCEs, you'll have to check that on your patients. You're also going to verify the chief complaint, why they're there, right? So, and then start your visit with an open-ended question. Okay, that's your quick introduction. That shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds. Okay. Once you ask your first open-ended question, remember, your simulated patients are instructed not to just spill their guts. Okay. They want to make you work for the information you're going to get, to make sure we know that we know that you know what to ask. Okay. So don't be surprised if they don't give you too much. Okay. Then you want to go to the HPI. The HPI, again, we roughly estimate shouldn't take you more than about 6 minutes to complete. And it is worth the most amount of points. Like I mentioned before, it is by far the most important part of the history, because that is why they're there and that's why they need your help. So you'll want to go through your locates or your old carts, whichever mnemonic you use. Each one has the designated point values. It's a little subjective, I'm not going to lie. And not every single box has to be checked for every chief complaint to get the full credit. What do I mean by that? Well, for location, This is asking location on the body, right? So where is your pain or where's the problem? And does it radiate? You have to ask those two to get the full 3 points. For onset, remember the timing of it is sometimes it'll be constant, right? The duration is constant. If the duration is constant, then you might not have an interval timing because it's not coming and going, right? So you might not need that one. But you definitely ask the onset duration for each one. If they have an intermittent duration, then you need to ask the frequency and the interval timing. You should always ask whether it's constant or intermittent about previous episodes of similar issues. Moving down to character. So the character, remember, we want to know about the quality of it, the characterization of it, whether it's sharp, dull, throbby, whatever. We need to know the quantity. Um, and by quantity, I mean like if they're having episodes of something, how many episodes are they having? How often is it coming? And we also need to ask the pain scale. If it's not a pain related chief complaint, you could also ask about severity scale, right? You could ask them from a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not too bad, 10 being the most severe you can think of. How bad is your cough? How severe is your cough? You could do that. Then we move on to aggravating and alleviating factors. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. The treatments, this is separate from the relieving factors. Sometimes patients will give you medications, but you need to ask them as 2 separate questions to get the points. So is anything that makes it better? Okay. And then the next, even if they give you like, oh, I take Tylenol. Okay. Then you need to also ask any other treatments. Okay. Moving on to the environment. Environment is where you were, what was going on, the context of the issue. So where were you? Was there any trauma related? What were you doing when it happened? And then have you been exposed to anyone or been traveling recently? And then signs and associated symptoms. So these are going to be the extra ROS that are pertinent to the chief complaint. So remember we said if we had chest pain, we would want to ask about shortness of breath, about a cough, about fever, about diaphoresis, nausea, vomiting, lower extremity swelling, that kind of stuff. Okay. So we need to make sure, I'm sure that the other instructors and I don't expect you to have this part perfect yet, but we want to see the attempt to try to incorporate those ROS. Okay. Another thing that's not really on this rubric, but I think is really, really important for you is, let's say you get vaginal discharge. Okay. Vaginal discharge is your chief complaint. You need to ask about sexual history in the HPI. You're not going to wait till you get, 10 minutes down the road to ask about it, because that is going to change your diagnosis completely if it's a yes versus a no. Okay. So find a place in here to remind yourself to ask those extra questions early on. Okay. We know it's not going to be perfect. This is your first try, but I want to start molding you into a competent, good medical detectives. Okay. All right. So we finished the HPI. We have a transition statement. We have to summarize, remember, the HPI to our patient to make sure we got it right before we move on to the past medical history. Once we get to past medical history, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, just asking questions. If you have an illness, what is it? When were they diagnosed? Are they well controlled? Medications, the name, the dose, the reason. Allergies, what type of allergies do you have? What agent is it? What's the type of reaction? Hospitalization, date, reason. Surgeries, date, reason. If the patient doesn't give you, if they say, no, I've never had any surgeries, okay, move on to the next one. Trauma, if they haven't had any trauma, move on to travel, so for travel, it's, how long ago was that? How long were you out of the area, and any problems, any exposures or anything while you were gone? Reproductive history. Remember, males versus females is a little bit different. It's mostly going to be pregnancies, complications, birth control, fertility. Remember that you can incorporate reproductive and sexual history together. Wherever you decide to ask it, you'll get the credit for it. Just make sure that you are asking all of the different check boxes here. Immunizations, you're going to want to ask about that, youth illnesses, yearly exams, and then your transition statement. So taking you from the past medical history to the family history. All right, getting to the family history. So family history, you want to identify the family members for your patient. You want to tell them, I'm talking about the grandparents, parents, siblings, and any children that you might have. Then you're going to go through and ask about them. I don't think for your practical, it's sufficient to be like, do you have any medical conditions around your family? And they say no, and you move on. No, you're going to have to be a little better at that. Not like a super long list, but I guarantee you that your simulated patient is going to give you some positives just to make sure that you're asking the right follow-up questions. Don't forget your psych, drugs, alcohol in this section, and then your transition statement. Moving on to the social history. So social history, at some point within the social history, you're going to want to get consent and explain the confidentiality of your conversation to your patient. And then you need to go through all these, home life, sexual history, your support system, smoking, alcohol, drugs, occupation/education level, because sometimes they might not have a job or might not have gone to school, nutrition and exercise. You do need to ask about both to get the checkbox here, and then a transition statement. All right. What I forgot to mention was that for past medical history, our recommended time is about 3 minutes or less. That might be a little tricky depending on how much past medical history they have, but we do try to train our simulated patients not to give you a million different things to have to deal with, but try to be consistent from one practical to another. The family history. Family history is it's saying on your suggested times 3 minutes or less. Social history has a little more to it, so 4 minutes or less. And that brings us to the review of systems. If you haven't watched the video explaining these parts separately, I would definitely go back and watch this. Review systems is going to be yes or no questions. You need to tell that to your patient. You need to ask all of the general review systems and then 2 from each of the other categories. So it would be something like, all right, do you have any fever? No. Any chills? No. Any night sweats? No. Any appetite? Moving on to your head, ears, eyes, nose, and throat. For your head, do you have any hair loss? No. Any sinus problems? No. Your eyes, any vision changes? No. Any discharge? All right, moving to your ears. Do you have any ear aches? No. Any hearing loss? No. And then moving on. Okay. You get through all of that. Remember, if there's duplicates like vision changes, if there's hot and cold intolerant or weight loss, you can duplicate those. Okay. So like vision changes is here and here. Okay. So keep in mind those things. Then we have to transition. The typical time after we do this would be to transition to the physical exam. Obviously, for your practical, we're not going to do a physical exam, but you can still address the transition statement. At this point, I think I have a good grasp of your medical history. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to your physical exam. Okay, that's your ending point. You're done. Just looking at this, there's actually 10 gimme points. And by gimme points, I mean like if you just have a decent bedside manner, if you dress appropriately, if you show up and you're professional, you're going to get these 10 points. It's a little cushion for you. So let's go through them. You're going to use facilitation technique. You're going to maintain eye contact, body language. It's kind of like style points, like making sure that you have a good bedside manner. It's hard to gauge that. It's a little subjective. But, as long as you are doing your best here, you're probably going to get the points. Unless it's completely obvious, like you looked at your sheet and you were doing this the whole time and never looked up at your patient. But we're going to grade you with some grace. So make sure you're practicing these things along the way. You're going to demonstrate compassion. You're going to be empathetic. If the patient tells you that their mother passed away, don't be like, okay, and then move on. Address those things. If the patient is sharing with you something that's been stressful, like they had a miscarriage, be empathetic towards that. Don't just be a robot asking questions. If clinicians were just asking the questions for the sake of asking the questions, we'd have a computer or AI do it. But we are human, so we need to treat our patients like human beings. Making sure that you have a good closing statement, that you have proper use of language, like you're addressing them appropriately. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Addressing them by whatever they want to be addressed by. That you want to be caring, respectful. I mean, these are kind of gimmies, but you'd be surprised in a practical setting when we're nervous how we might forget to do these things. Be respectful, and make sure that the interview is patient-centered. So I think these are easy 10 points as long as you've been practicing along the way. And that is the rubric, okay? As you know, each of you are being graded by different people, so everyone's going to have a little bit different style of grading and maybe some differing expectations, but for the most part, we are trying our best to keep this standardized and consistent from one grader to the next. That's why we have this rubric. I hope, oh, I forgot, review systems 4 minutes or less for a total of less than 20 minutes, okay? Um, Make sure that you practice as much as possible on this to get your timing down, get your flow down, and you need to work through all of the chief complaints. Okay. Um, you need to know the difference between the questions you would ask for chest pain and for penile discharge, or from cough to fever. They're very, very different. There's the same skeleton here, but they're different questions you have to ask. So make sure that you work through that, okay, before you show up. Don't just show up and be like, oh, I know what I need to ask, and then you get thrown a curveball. Okay. Um, I think that's about it for this. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have questions about the rubric, feel free to ask. You can ask me an email. You can ask in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And so I plan to do a video of a demonstration of this entire encounter so you can see like from start to finish how it looks. I just need to find myself a simulated patient. So I'll probably be doing that as soon as I can get my hands on that. And then I want to definitely also post the kind of scripts, if you will, for each of the chief complaints to kind of show you what the important extra things we would want to ask are. And I also want to show you my skeleton cheat sheet for the practical, like what I would write on my blank sheet of paper in 1 minute. Okay, so look out for those videos. They should be coming out soon, and I'll see you in the next one.